Damn, I did not have anything ready. I'll at least get Twitter up. Shit. I'm so tired. Okay. All right. Well, at least we got the page up. I just need to make sure we're live, though. My thing is so bad about updating whether I'm live or not. Yeah, we chilling today. Hi, Shelly. And I'll wait until some more people come, if they come. Probably take my earphones out now that I know that I can hear. While we're here, I guess it might be a good idea to pull up TCB, huh? So we can read it all together? Okay. TCB. Black Clover 337. Okay. Is it going to open? Okay. All right. How are you guys doing today? Oh, dude, my video is about to get flagged. I need to make sure that's not even in. It shouldn't be in the right key. I think I'm gonna go ahead and get somewhat started. So really low amount of people in for right now, but I'm also kind of late today for streaming, so that's probably most of the issue here. All right, so we have the unofficial skins up today, and I just kind of wanted to read it through with you guys and see what's going on. There are a few things I need to talk about that we'll go over at the end. I think the first thing that I want to hit is the actual Japanese, like the raw chapters that we get. There's something going on with them that needs to be pointed out, and I haven't seen anyone point it out at all. And I don't know how many like Japanese fans, like they're from Japan, that we actually have in like at least the community that I'm a part of, on Twitter and stuff, right? Because there's the way things are written is suggesting some things that actually affect the story, and it's something that we wouldn't be able to pick up on if we only looked at the English version. So I want to hit that, like I said, probably first. And it's really, I noticed it, of course, in the last chapter with that whole Ita Ita mix up. Um, and then this chapter kind of solidified it. And so it might get into some weird stuff, like not weird, but like, um, it's probably going to get into more time magic territory. Yeah. Anyway. Let's just get to reading. Feel free to ask any questions or anything like that. Um, but if you already read it and you're just wanting to know what I'm going to talk about as far as like the swords go for Asta, and you haven't seen the last video, take this time to watch it now, so you're not just lost and I'm just saying a bunch of mumbo jumbo that you have not heard of yet. But anyway, let's get started. So we got Luck throwing some fireballs, or not Luck, Magna throwing some fireballs at Luck, saying today's the day they continue their special training. So I wonder what Luck is teaching Magna. I'm curious about that, because Luck is a great fighter, but a teacher, I don't know. I don't see what Magna could get from Luck, aside from maybe like mana reinforcement armor. But Magna doesn't have that much mana, so I don't know how effective or efficient that would be. So it's a little strange. This is a little strange, but I do like that they're still fighting. Like, we did meet them in the beginning, like in chapter 3 is, I believe, when we first saw them fight, like towards the end. And then chapter 4 it continued. So I do like that. It's just like, old time feels. And it's just all rowdy like it should be. This is the Black Bulls, so I'm glad Tabata opened it up like this. But it's funny, and we'll see it shortly, of course, that it's the old Black Bull feel, but Asta's missing. So this is there's a huge hole in this squad right now. It's cool that Tabata did this. So anyway, you assholes are too noisy. I can't concentrate on reading Marie's letter, so that's Gauche, of course. Now, let's all calm down and have supper. So we got Charmy in the mix, Gordon and Gray down here. I wonder why the Black Bull base is in its Black Bull form. Like, why did Henry do that? Are they just on the move constantly? Also, that is a weird looking tree over there. I don't know if you guys see that. This thing looks very odd. Anyway, Vice Captain Nock told us to be quiet. I love this, though. So you would never catch Gray just yelling at people, right? But she's out of her comfort zone, or she's like found a new comfort zone, I should say, and that's really cool. So we see some development from Gray. It looks like Gordon is still muttering over there, so not much has changed with him. Magna telling Gray to shut up. That hard ass is a disgrace to the Black Bull. So this is really harsh. I wonder why he thinks that. And I understand that, like, Knott has been the vice captain and he hasn't been present. It's just a little strange. Like, he was on a mission that was fairly important. And so it wasn't like he was straight up neglecting them. And there are instances earlier on where you see that he was using his shadow corridor to check in on them. So it's not like he completely abandoned them. Yeah, I don't know. That seems a bit harsh, especially for Magna. And then Noct, of course, with his smiles. Listen up. So we go, and he tells them Asta is dead. I like that everyone's front and center. There's no, like, everyone has their undivided attention. Also, look at this. I like this. This relationship here is really cool. Even though I don't like Henry at all, I really love what the two of them have going. And I love that even though this is not a battle at all, Gordon is making sure that Henry is not restricted by his curse so that he can speak up if he needs to. And not take 5 billion years to say something, which is really cool of him. I do like that a lot. So Knott continues, he was mortally wounded and then erased by spatial magic. Under the circumstances, it is only reasonable to assume he's dead. I'm sure people, I'm sure they are a little bit thrown off by the affect Noct has, because he's always like kind of smiling, which is odd, but it's just an anime thing. Uh, Interesting pairs they show here. Uh, we need to see Gauch and Gray really fight together. Like we did get a snippet of them in the what's it called, in the Spade arc against Morris, but nothing too crazy. I think they could really do some damage together. Charmy and Zora would be another dope team up. Imagine, I think these will be team ups, by the way. So imagine Charmy and Zora working together. That is such a power duo. Because Zora can make a trap where he can, double the power of the mana, right? Or even quadruple it, I guess. And then if he slams that towards Charmy and her wolf, then they're eating more magic than the original, their opponent casts it out, which means that whatever's coming back is about to be something devastating. So I really like that, just for that purpose. And then, of course, Henry and Gordon for, the anti-curse reasons and all that stuff. So not bad duos over here. Okay. If he went off and died on his own, I would never forgive him. Also, another good duo to see later on. The last time we saw these two fight together, they got crushed by Veto, which was kind of sad because their duo was really cool. The whole fire and lightning, the art was cool for it. It looked like it would have done some massive damage, but they were just outclassed in the moment, so kind of sucks, but I'm sure we'll get it back. Regardless of how anyone feels, facts are facts, however. So it's funny that Noct is saying facts are facts, because he's barely said any facts since we've known him. No matter what you consider reality, I don't believe that he's dead. And I'll say it after we read this whole page, but this is really special. So not unless I see his dead body with my own eyes. And then Magnus says, this is the first time we've ever agreed on something, Vice Captain. And without a doubt, there's no way that Asta's dead. And look at the determination on everybody's face. No one's buying this for a second. And it's just such a far cry from where they started, right? All of these guys, it took an act of God or an act of Yami to get them to sit down and shut up and listen to something. But when Noct comes, even though it seems like the respect isn't quite there for Noct, they realize the severity of the situation, being that Asta is just gone, and that alone is worthy of their attention as a group, no matter how ragtag they are. So this is really, really good. And of course we have Gray, and even when Yami was able to shut them up and get them to sit down in one place, number one, Zora would not come to the Black Bull's base. It was Asta who did that. And then Gray wasn't even in her real form when Yami got their attention in Chapter 2. She was in that big, giant form of whoever that was. So that's also special. We also didn't have Henry. And it's because of Asta that Henry was included in the base. Most of these guys had no idea who he was. They thought he was just a ghost. So the fact that all of these people are together, and then of course Noct was never going to come back. Let's be super real. He was never going to come back to this base, even though he's keeping an eye on them. But he found a new light in Asta. And that's another reason why all of their attention is here, focused and undivided on Asta and his potential death. So Noct, it's unanimous. Let's go find that idiot. And just look at this. These guys come from such different backgrounds. And Asta, and we've been over this so many times on videos and on Twitter, Asta is the reason people are being saved from themselves, other people, situations. Asta is the glue right here. Yami brought them together, but Asta is really the reason why they're staying at this point, because they found new life in Asta. So I just really love this chapter, that part of the chapter for this. And they're all going out together. I mean, where the hell they're going, I don't know. But they're going as a group, so I like that a lot. What are we gonna do about Henry though? I guess Gordon's just gonna hold on to him. So okay. Asta wakes up and then asking where is this place. Then the Charmy robot tea dispenser is coming in. Really funny. I looked at this and I was thinking like I know Tabata has said on an occasion that that Charmy is like a depiction of his wife, and it's funny because I wonder if this is like still a depiction of his wife. It's kind of funny, but very traditional. Dispensing the tea, really weird though. Just I mean, total Japan vibes, like just off the wall sort of creativity. Uh, and I never thought we would see these eyes again. To be honest with you, I really like that Tabata did that. Um, and then Yami's friend over here without an eye patch. I know we don't get faces when it's that far sometimes, but come on, it's an eye patch. Maybe it's in Viz. That right there is a tea serving doll, and he's like, "That wasn't Charmy." That's so weird that he thinks it was Charmy, but I mean, of course we get it. How you feeling? And he goes, Asta. So it's a question. That's kind of weird that it's a question because he should know, right? Anyway, and he says, "Who are you, and how do you know my name?" Very valid questions to be asking this guy. His wound is healed, but of course it's not all the way healed. Which is that's his second big wound. The other one was by Mars, and that's kind of payback actually from the mark that he gave Dante. So it's full circle. And but only Mimosa could heal a wound this severe. So I'm glad we're valuing Mimosa, like thousands of miles away, or possibly even a dimension away. Did you heal me? And he says no, but my friend did. I don't have that kind of power. And the laugh here is interesting. The ka. Anyway, where's Liebe? He's this teeny tiny black thing. Oh, you mean that devil guy? So I'll correct in my video that I made last night. I said that I don't think Liebe's in his devil form. Obviously, I'm wrong here. I didn't see this part of the week, so obviously that part's wrong. You can disregard that. One of my friends should be fixing him up right now. But what still is valid from that video and what I've said about him is that they're not making a big deal of his appearance. And that's really, really weird. Something we'll kind of circle back around to, but it seems that Hino country is no stranger to devils. And that's interesting. Now, this is something I didn't quite see now that I'm looking closer. This man has 2 swords. Very cool. So he's a dual katana wielder, is what we're looking at. I didn't see that second one. Awesome. Cool. Love it. Okay, and offering tea, I reckon. Okay, so he knows about devils. His key isn't hostile. So just who the heck are you? Do you know Charmy? I haven't met that one, but I have known Yami since childhood. So he says I haven't met that one. So there's a few ways this can be interpreted, meaning like he's met some others from the Clover Kingdom, including Yami, which we will get into that. And then there's also like maybe he's talking about like Liebe, like since they came together, but also separately. Maybe he just means like I haven't met that person you brought along with you, but I have met Yami. Wait, hold up. So no one even mentions Yami here. Okay. So, no one mentioned Yami. So yeah, it seems like either Liebe's been talking to him, or he's met some others, or this is just another one of those eye things that he has, which we will also talk about. Okay, so yeah, your childhood friends with Captain Yami, actually their key is kind of similar. So I was talking to someone, I believe it was WK, about this, like the key that he has. It was WK, because we were talking about like the ideas that I've been having about you know, this guy being just a childhood friend of Yami doesn't seem like it's the most accurate truth that he's telling. Not to say that he's a liar, but there's something about his existence that is more special than just a childhood friend. So I did put out a tweet saying that, well, to be fair, Patry was also William's childhood friend, right? So this is insinuating that this might be a much deeper connection. And we've had all these twin scenarios, Noct and Morgan, all the elves from their reincarnations, and Lucius and Julius. And these are very close together twins, right? Asta Liebe counts in that as well. In his spirit, Fauna and Fauna. But we've never had twins that were absolutely unrelated. Like, he's saying he's just a childhood friend, but they look alike and their keys similar. That shouldn't be happening. And we know that key signatures are extremely, extremely unique. So that should be clue number one, that it's more than just a friend here. Oh, those are the swords behind him. Okay, those were not, technically maybe not his swords. I'd assume they would be, though. But we'll see. We'll see. I'd really like to see a dual wielding, sword user in this series. But I believe most Shogun have two swords anyway, if I'm not mistaken. One's long, like the top one, and one is short. So it should make sense. Anyway, he's always got this mean look in his eyes, acts real violent, and is quick with his hands. And he isn't good with bugs. If you show him one, he'll turn pale. I don't think we've ever seen that. And I know Zora carries around those stink bugs as a prank. So maybe we did, actually. Did we see that when he found Zora initially in the Spade arc, in that flashback? It might have been there, but I'm just not remembering. And Asta's like, he's been like that ever since he was a kid. And he's like, really? I'm too scared to pull something like that, though. Wait, what is that referring to? Oh, okay. He's talking about, like, showing a bug to Yami. Yeah, that's not a good move. Crap, I lost track of time talking to you. Thank you for helping me. I don't know where I am, but I've got to get back, and fast. No need to be in such a hurry. You're not exactly in great shape, are you? Though I do understand how you feel. So this is almost like another Noct and Asta situation right after Yami got picked up, right, by Xenon. And he's trying to go right back out into a losing battle. And he's being stopped by another link to Yami that no one else seemed to know about. So, again, we're seeing these parallels that Tabata likes to do. He's painting a picture. You got your heart broken and were nearly killed by both the person you love and the man you viewed as your goal. And Asta, of course, would be surprised. So why would he know all of that? It ain't a pretty sight to behold. And he says, I can see whatever I want to. Besides, my eye also tells me that you will definitely lose if you return now. So this eye, I don't know what to think of it. Initially, I was thinking maybe it's a mirror eye, like Gauch's. I almost doubt it would be, but now looking at like the chapter, right, it's almost like a mirror world. Honestly, we got the Charmy already, and we'll talk about his assistant in a bit. But this guy obviously looks like Yami, and this doesn't seem to be like a real place. I don't want to say it's like not real or it's all fake, but like it doesn't seem like this is just a continent away. This seems like something a little bit more than that. Also, there's something with this guy. I know I'm getting these vibes and I'm not placing them correctly, so it might be a tweet for later or something when I do find it. But something is happening here. He says, anyway, it ain't like you can go back home with your own power, right, dude? Asta can surf the winds of mana with his anti-magic sword. What are you talking about? Then we got our assistant here. And she's just straight to the point. That's cool. I do think this is going to be, like, this is the mirror Noct. And yeah, This is just really weird. I know people said she looks like this one looked like Charmy, but obviously there's a better Charmy look. But maybe that could be like the human version, and it's just like separated. Who knows? Um, okay, so she slides it open. I really love this art though. Like, this is really cool. We haven't seen Tabata draw anything traditional. Even in Hungry Joker, I don't think that was really there. Yeah, they didn't. They went to like England or the UK somewhere. And yeah, so it's really nice to see this. Tabata is really good. So this is the land of the sun, a country that is quite far away from the Clover Kingdom. And I am Ryuya, the shogun of this nation. You've come all this way, so right here, right now, I hope this gets cleaned up in Viz. Get yourself a power up. I hope it's, push your limits like Yami says, and not, get yourself a power up. Seems kind of lame, to be honest, but Viz usually comes through with that sort of stuff. So, this chapter, really good for several reasons, but I did say I wanted to tackle some of the translation things that were happening, okay? So, I wonder if I can find it. I'm sure I may have posted it. So it's actually within that last panel for the most part, and also scattered throughout this chapter. The way that this man speaks is very untraditional, I guess I should say. Let's see. I don't think it's in this one. Does he even talk? Oh, he's talking there. Let me see if I can get an example in this one. No, not so much in that one. Let's go back. Also, let me know how you guys like this this chapter in the chat in there, and I'll look at them pretty soon. Okay, so it's word out here. I got to go a little bit further down. Okay. All right, here we go. So here is the deal. Looking at this kanji, okay. So this is the kanji for Ryu. It says it right by the side, and again, it says it right here because it's Ryu, Ryu Do, and Ryu Ya. It's his last name, or would that be his first name? I don't know. It should be his first name. It's Ryu Ya. Anyway, the kanji used for this, now the Ryu part is the part that is not quite what it should be. And it seems that these are not your traditional kanji letters. In fact, these are more or less outdated, is what I've come to the conclusion of. Because I'm sure many people have, put these images into like a translator and it's got as close as possible, and they got like dragon and stuff. It ultimately means the same thing. But why the writing is so important is because this seems to tell me that there is some time-related discrepancies happening. There's some interference, and obviously this probably has to do with Astaroth, or just Lucius, or Julius, or all of the above. But these aren't normal letters to be using. This is more of a feudal era type of kanji. So then he also does something else that is not traditional as well. I wonder if I can find the other. I don't know if I posted the other, to be honest with you. Let's see. Yeah, I did not post the others. So, or maybe I did. Hold on. Yeah, not of him talking, at least. I wish I did. Okay. I gotta save these somewhere next time. So, in the way that he talks in some of these, he'll add like this extra letter, and it's so weird. And it's katakana, and I believe it was usually the character Su, and that's not traditional at all either. And every character, like every person as well, has their own style of talking. Like, there are certain ways you end phrases in Japanese, and they usually fall like the most generic one is des, or and then you have desyo, which is really informal and comes off as rude. But there are also characters that just have this very personal and comfortable vibe with people that can just, say that and not have anyone get offended. So apocrypha, that's what I'm talking about, is like, yes, it does mean dragon. I'm not saying it doesn't mean dragon. We know that. But what I am saying is that it is not in the current language, though. It's or half of those characters are not traditional. So given also the background here, gives us a more back in the day feel of Japan, and not so much a more modern take on it. So I'm thinking that Asta, if anything, so like all of the ideas are on the table, right? Would be just straight up another continent, just across the sea, and then we have what's it called? Another dimension, and then another possibility could be that Asta is in another continent in the same universe, but in a different time. So it's, I think those three things need to be looked at very closely. And also, just be on the lookout. Like, for translations, they're not going to be as accurate as they have been in the past. And we saw that in the last chapter with Ita. It's that could have meant hurtful or painful, but it ended up meaning, there you are, or there he is, or something, whatever he said. So it's going to be for the rest of this time that we're in Hino country, we're going to have to make sure that we're waiting until Sunday for the officials, because this could get really tricky really, really fast. Now, I am curious, and I'm waiting for another character from this country to start talking, because this could easily just be, Ryu's just thing and how he talks. He could be an old timer, who knows? But it's just odd, right? And we already have things that have, time is already a really hard thing to write and then also be able to translate, like, what's going on, because you'll get different timelines, and if we're dealing with different dimensions, it makes this a world of a lot harder. So we just need to be on the lookout. Okay, so off of that, I am thinking that in this country, I also want to say, I hope we're not thinking that Ryuda over here, or Ryuya, is like the leader of Hino country, because he's not. He's the shogun. And shoguns, I believe, have 2 to 3 ranking. They're the second or third highest. I want to say third, maybe even fourth ranked when it comes to the government. So he's not the highest, but he's exhibiting some traits that show him to be a very formidable character as far as maybe like fighting goes. Because if he's able to read what Asta had been through, through whatever means he's doing that with, then that means whoever's above him are going to be really, really powerful people. So I can't wait to see that, but I am going to go on record and say we are going to find if not a Julius lookalike, it's going to be probably Julius, the one that just got yeeted from the series. That is something I would love to see. And he would be the emperor here. So I'm wondering what he'll do and how they treat foreigners here. I'm sure he's going to have to get checked in by like some top officials. It just makes sense that it would happen that way. You just can't have a foreigner just land here with a devil and and not check in with the higher ups. So we should be seeing whoever that emperor is, and hopefully it is Julius. It would be massively cool if it was. Okay. Let me catch up on your chats. I only saw a couple here. Okay. Okay. Jordan P. Ostra's eye is a Unami theory mentioned. That's interesting. Um, I wonder what his evidence for that is. Cause yeah, what would his evidence be that it's Osteroth's eye? Huh. That is interesting though. Um, hmm. Because then they'd be linked. Uh, okay. Huh. Okay. I was even going as far as like Megicula's eye. Um, because it'd just be interesting if she had like eyes everywhere, as she literally does, like on her wings and everything, and what she did for Vonica. Um, I doubt that, but it would be interesting. I would just need to know how he arrived at like how he got Astaroth's eye, though. That's just really odd. Okay, okay. Um, Apocrypha, you said that on the video like 3 times. I have no idea what you're saying when you say that. Rashawn, word up. Word. Okay, Apocrypha, you don't. We heard you. um, Rashawn, wait, is he live reacting or review? Yes, I'm live. Nate, I think Tabata is going to have the dwarves create Asta's next sword. Possibly. Possibly. Samuel, who was that girl? Yeah, I'm thinking it's like a knocked mirror. Of course, not going to be knocked, but she'll be similar, I feel like. The doll looking like Charmy's chibi form is really suspect. Maybe her parents fled to the land of the sun. Maybe. It's too hard to say any of that for sure with full confidence. I wouldn't even be able to know where to start as far as like evidence goes. That's why I usually refrain from saying things a lot of the time, because I need the evidence, and we can say almost anything so easily. But if it doesn't make sense, I would rather like not put it out. Is kind of my style, at least. But that did remind me. So we have characters that have something in common now that Asta is in the land of the rising sun. So, or the land of sun. I guess not of the rising sun, per these translations at least. So look, Asta's grimoire doesn't have any leaves anymore. Okay, so this happens upon him washing up into that country last chapter. So now his grimoire is a lot like Nox now, where it doesn't have a symbol of origin. And now I'm questioning Nox even more because it's interesting too that he told the Black Bulls that he wouldn't be, or he told the captains that he wouldn't be able to reach Asta if he's in another continent or in another dimension. To say if he was in another dimension is kind of odd to just put out there, because we haven't really had any other characters that have used like a dimensional space except for Dorothy, and as far as we know, the two of them have never interacted before. So unless he's deriving it off of like maybe trying to use his shadow magic to teleport to like the underworld where his devils were, that could make sense. But still, it's just an odd thing to put. So I remember talking about it with you guys, and it's definitely on Twitter, about how there's a part in the Spade flashback where just before or during the moment they unleash Children's Playground, you see Nox Grimoire again right by Yami, and it has a cross on it. It's not a clover, but it's a cross. And then when we go back and in chronological order, Noct loses that symbol. So I'm wondering if he's had some type of encounter with these people, and then that would make sense as to why Ryudo says that he hasn't met that one, meaning he hasn't met Charmy, but he may have met Noct before. And that would be something interesting as well. But as to why he would meet Noct, I'm not even sure. So I wouldn't ask me. But the fact that they have no clover symbol at all, no more symbol of origin at all, means that they may have had a contact with this country already. So I did want to point that out. And then we'll talk about Asta's final sword, because that'll be really important moving forward. And it's going to have to do with Hino as well. Okay. So, let's see. Shelly, that's cool. Shrion, I don't think I've seen you before. So, welcome if you're new. They might have Japanese devil equivalent maybe residing. Probably. We've already seen Luck in a much more like Raijin form. So, I'm sure they have their own equivalent to everything here. So, it makes sense. His name can be translated to Dragon's Sight, but I'm pretty sure it's like Dragon's Head. Not Dragon's Head. What was it? Shoot. Oh, I forgot what it was. Anyway, I don't think it's Dragon's Sight, though. Let's see. It's possible that he knows who Charmy... Wait, he says he doesn't know Charmy. It's interesting that he only lists Yami's flaws. I mean, I guess you could look at it like that, too. I don't know. I think those things just kind of make him who he is. Like, I don't think they're necessarily flaws. Because he was just a kid. So, and that's really not enough time to really know someone. Like, I don't know how old most of you guys are here, but I know, Nate, you and I are around the same age. So, at that time, you don't really have an identity. You're still developing your identity. So, and kids are just imperfect anyway. So, to list them by, the nuisances that they cause and stuff I don't know. Like, I don't think he's doing that on purpose to, like, shade Yami. But, that's just who he was. He was a rowdy guy, though. That's exactly who he is now. Shelly, I almost don't want to read your comment, because I've heard everything you've had to say about this Bachman dude, and it just sounds so off the wall. But I'll read it anyway. I heard this Bachman guy that you have mentioned, yes, said that he could be Yami and Asta. Wait, what? Had teleported to the future after he lost his left eye to Lucius, and Lucius has rewarded him a new key. I don't know what any of that means. I'm sorry. Nate, is it possible he was the reason Yami got lost? Absolutely. I think he probably is the main reason. He might have been his friend, but not necessarily a good one, maybe jealousy. Yeah, I don't know if it'd be jealousy or anything like that. That's something that even Asta could pick up through Ki, right? He can pick up lies, and he can pick up feelings. So I think those would shine through if he did those things. However, we do have to consider this is the origin country of Ki, or the usage of Ki. So maybe there's ways to conceal that. I think that would be reasonable, just due to the fact that just imagine living in a country where everyone knows when and if you lie, and when you are jealous, when you're in love with someone. That could be a little stressful, but it could also show us that they live in a country where everyone's really honest and there are no lies. So like it really brings in the whole land of the sun thing, where there's no darkness when there's light over there, and that could be symbolic. So I don't think they'd be able to hide Ki, But it also wouldn't be unreasonable if they could do that. But I don't think he was jealous of Yami. But I do think he played a part in sending him to uh, the Clover Kingdom. So, um, let's see. I lost my spot, guys. I'm sorry. Um, Ryu is basically the Wizard King of Land of the Sun. He wouldn't be. He's far from it. We'll pull up the hierarchy so that we can all see. Um, I don't know, the shogunate hierarchy. Here we go. We'll do that. So, okay. WordPress. I don't know how I feel about WordPress, but we'll hit wiki. So the Edo Society. Oh, they have the same triangle, so maybe it's the same. So okay. So here is the layout here. Merchants, craftsmen, peasants, samurai, daimyo, shogun. So they are third. They're the third highest in this. And then we have court nobility and then emperor. So he would not be like the equivalent of Julius as far as he is to King Clover. Um, he's... This would be more like a Mark's position, is what this looks like. But this is more of a warrior class sort of hierarchy, where Marx is more so like a secretary of sorts, not really a mage that wars with people, but easily could be. So, I guess Marx could really fit in this shogun area there. But this would actually be where Seke falls, like right in here. He would be a shogun as well, since he guards King Clover himself. So that's what I was trying to say earlier. Dr. Fasyami is probably going to be chosen, but this guy did a hostile takeover after the heir to the head of the family disappeared. That's possible. I just don't see it in this guy. Again, I feel like this would have been picked up by Key. Maybe Asta's just too surprised about the whole situation. He has been through a lot. So, that could be a thing. Who knows? But again, it's just really odd that, these guys are friends, but they look exactly alike. So, maybe this was supposed to be like they were going to send one out, or you know what? Let's put it like this. So what if the going fishing in the ocean was more of a like a rite of passage, and they sent both of these guys out, and Yami ended up getting stuck, and Ryuda was the only one who came back. So he passed and was able to climb that hierarchy and probably became a shogun right after that. I'm thinking that could be plausible as well. I just don't... We got to think, it's the last saga. Do we really need another bad guy? You know what I mean? We got enough ones. And for Asta to have to, save these people in Hino country from these evil people, and then go back and save more people from evil people it's a lot. So I really do doubt, just on a purely writing standpoint, that this guy has any malicious intent towards anybody. And if he did, they could have just killed Asta and Liebe. They were incapacitated, or they could have just let them die. Those are foreigners. That could be an immediate threat. So I really am against the idea of that, but I'm not taking the possibility off the table, if that makes sense. Also just popped in before I go to the store. I'll hopefully be back for you end the stream. Hopefully. We'll see you later. Have a good store trip. It's more of a clan leader than a king. Okay. That would be cool. Faust. I'm getting no Bunaga Oda vibes. I don't know what that means. Oh, Dynasty Warriors. Okay. I loved that game. They need to remake that. I wish there was a time in my life, I still wish it now, that every game had a Dynasty Warriors type of gameplay. Like I was so into like Underworld, the vampire movie, and with the werewolves and stuff, the lichens. Like if that was in Dynasty Warriors type of gameplay, that game would have went crazy. But luckily, they did come out with that Berserk game, and it has that sort of gameplay, so it's kind of cool. Gets a little redundant, but so does Dynasty Warriors. But I mean, Berserk in that form went so hard. I That's a game I should go back on and play. That'll be the reason I turn my game system back on. The eye, because he can see things he wants to see, like Lucius can see the future he wants. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. You're saying that's like Unami's evidence, I guess, from what someone said earlier. I mean, it makes sense. We just got to know what happened with Osteroth, you know? But that would be a 3-point shot if he's right about that. I'm hoping their new power system has something to do with it. It does. It absolutely does. You guys, I just made a video about this. So, absolutely. Their katanas will be what grimoires are for mages in the Four Kingdoms. That's just what I believe. So right now, the two characters that we have seen do have katanas. And I don't know if this is like the building they're in, the way these scans came out, or something like that. But in some panels, they have these things floating around them, like black stuff, almost like demonic mana. I'm thinking it's maybe the scan, and not so much the room or anything, but just something to keep an eye out for. I wanted to go back up to the... there we go. So this guy, I'm assuming these are his swords. He's got two. So the point of that video yesterday was, essentially saying that these guys are going to have like their equivalents of Zanpakuto from Bleach. And these swords have their own soul. And it needs to be confronted so that they can achieve the full potential of that sword, and the spirit inside of it. So the first release is a Shikai, and then their last one's a Bankai. But then they have a true Bankai after that. And that's when, because I believe it was Renji, he was getting played by his Zanpakuto spirit, who didn't really show him his true form. And then when Renji thought he had beat him or something like that, he had only given him like the tail of the entire spirit. And so he ends up going back and achieving the full power to get his true Bankai. So let's talk about Asta swords and the future for them, okay? So at this point, I really don't care who makes the swords. I don't care if it's dwarves. I don't care if it's someone from here. I don't care if it's I don't care who it is. But I'm thinking that Asta right now, since that grimoire has no more leaves, just like Liebe was not in the grimoire or attached to him, his swords have probably also scattered as well. So let's go with scenario number one. Scenario number one is if they scattered, they're probably lost at sea. Okay, and Asta maybe at most has one sword, which would be a huge setback. And maybe a setback that Asta needs, right? Because imagine dying, right? Fake death, we're talking. And then you lose the things that was like really putting you over everybody else. It's not just anti-magic. It's those swords that were really helping Asta. So now, Asta's going to have to find a new weapon. They could make him a weapon here. And it might be more of a case that this weapon has to choose the owner, just like the Grimoire chooses their person. And when that happens, the other points of that video was called the Sword of Zen. This is like the Enso circle that we talked about last weekend, where you reach a stage of enlightenment through swordsmanship. It's Zen through swordsmanship. And this is where you reach a no sword state, which is essentially Ultra Instinct. We also talked about that, how like the full circle around the angels in Dragon Ball Super seem to depict that they have achieved that no mind state, which is why all angels know Ultra Instinct. And then the evidence behind it is that Asta has already done this to an extent with his Demon Dweller sword, at the volcano with Mereoleona and the Crimson Lions. He puts his arms out and he lays his hand on top of the blade so that his full body is connected with the sword, and no energy is being just like dispersed elsewhere. It's all going between him and the sword. And he achieves the next level of his power. So this is another level of enlightenment. And remember, in the Enso circle, there are 4 stages of enlightenment. You have the 0th degree, 90th, 180th degree, and then 360. No, I'm missing one. 145. 145 and then 360. And then at 360, you're back home, but you are enlightened and you look at things differently. You're not attached at all to any of the concepts of the real world. While you might acknowledge them, you have no real attachment to them because you understand that these things actually hold you back, and you and your soul back from true enlightenment later down the road. So now I was thinking that Asta has the Demon Slayer sword, which is by far the worst sword he has. But it may come back in the sense that it'll be his best sword, because I don't think he's actually tapped into what it can truly do. And we've seen him make a massive, massive sword out of it by drawing out all the anti-magic. So of all the swords, that has the most output of anti-magic by far. But I'm thinking that he'll do a lot of what Ichigo did and kind of condense that power, because condensed power is much better than just power that is spread out, right? So when they strike, it's much more potent. So I do see that the sword may even shrink down to like the size of a katana, maybe. And there's also that slot that Brokey pointed out to me live. Like, it was maybe the first time he ever collaborated, and he had said it out the blue, and I was like, wait, he's right. So I was thinking about Hino's pendant, and if we place that inside, okay, well, let's talk about Hino's pendant first, so we can paint the picture and then go into the swords. So Hino's magic stone that he has a very specific duty. And Zagrid says that it draws whatever the user wants from the underworld. Now, it's very specific from the underworld, and we've talked about that a lot. And I'm wondering how true it is, right? Because if you come from a place where only devils live, then the lore that you get is going to be specifically tailored to devils, just like the lore that humans get are specifically tailored towards humans. So I'm wondering that Yuno's magic stone may do more than that, and it's more so to connect dimensions. Okay, so he can draw from the underworld, but he may be able to draw from other dimensions. Like, if this is another dimension, he could probably make some type of gateway towards this dimension as well. But if that is the purpose of it, and we put it inside of Asta's Demon Slayer sword, something that I would really, really like is if, and we talked about this such a long time ago, but it was much more rinky-dink and like Lego mash them up than I'm going to put it now. That all of these swords, the Destroyer, the Katana, Dweller, and Slayer, will fuse all together, creating his final sword that will be able to do everything he needs it to be. Because what is Asta's real drawback right now? It's the fact that he can't use all of the powers of all of his swords at once. He does not have 4 arms, right? And we were hoping that he would use his swords like Liebe did, where they were floating around him to be able to use it. But even still, that is a lot of energy to expend. So I'm thinking if we put that stone in there, then somehow maybe all the swords fuse, and we get a sword that can do literally everything, and potentially even more, right? So that's what I'm looking for moving forward in this series. And if that is the case, I'd really love it if instead of, like I suggested in last night's video, him having to meet 5 different souls of those swords, or 4, excuse me, I think I said 5 in that video, then he would only just meet 1. And that would really cut down on the time it's going to take to, finish this Hino country arc and then get back to the 4 kingdoms and, mop the floor of Lucius's face. So that's essentially what I'm thinking. So he will get like that final Getsuga moment, I feel like, that Ichigo got and all that good stuff. So I'll keep going with your chat. I never actually caught up last time. Okay, I'll start with Nate. So, oh wait, that's towards the bottom. Am I missing anything? Okay, so Sege power up about to go crazy. If he's actually about to train, yeah, dude, I'll stand by it. Seke is definitely one of the stronger and more talented characters in this series. He was just extremely disillusioned by the loss against Asta. But hopefully re-inspired by seeing him and Yuno in action against Lucifero. Like he definitely understood then and there. Like if he had kept training like they did, he would have actually had some real results and not living off of a lie around King Clover. So I think he will come back a sort of clutch character. And again, I have to point out, man, this guy was the best at creation. He already knew how to fly a broomstick, which is mind control. And then his battle strategy was genius. Absolute genius. He just got mismatched, right? Just like Gildre. He could be one of the most broken characters in this series. But the fact that Asta existed was the only reason why he was not able to get away and not able to do much more with his power. So that is really, really important. Almost the same for Rebchi as well. He's got a broken power, but Asta was his match. Those are all people that would have lost against, but Asta doesn't look at it like that ever. And as I suggested in other videos, that's probably what's holding him back. Asta is his own last obstacle, not Lucius, but it's Asta, because he doesn't think that he's good enough. But considering like the fight against Seke in the exams, had nothing in his arsenal to beat him at that moment in time. May have lost that battle. Definitely. Or at least it would have been a stalemate. But there's no wind cutting through that. Not at that point in time. And he could probably dodge all he needs to, all he wants to, but Seke would just sit there and keep shooting. So there's that. And then Seke had the first curse magic that we'd seen in the series. And then we never saw it again up until Vanica. Until Veto. And that was a random curse. Even reading back on that was so confusing. And then after that, the Witch Queen, and then it was Vanica. So very few of them, but Seke, as an entry level examinee, was able to pull that out, along with his perfect defense. So imagine, like, there's no way Hino's dealing with any type of curse if it lands. And with whatever amount of chaos on a battlefield that's going on, a salamander, a hex salamander landing on somebody would be pretty debilitating, depending on what kind of instructions he gives them. So Seke is not a slouch. So I gotta back him up on that. Is he a great person? Absolutely not. He's one of the worst. But I don't think it's fair for anyone to ever knock him or his latent potential. Let's see. Black Goku. He sacrificed Yami to get the shot. Ooh, that's the story I need right there. Get that Mangekyo Sharingan. He's got that Shisui eye. Feetless Shisui. I'm so glad I came to Twitter, guys. Like, before I did any of this, I was battling it out with Naruto people all the time. Like, I was such a nerd over that series in particular. Because I love it. I still love it. Not as much as I like Black Clover now. It's far surpassed that. But people would always be like, well, Shisui could do this and Shisui could do that. Shisui can't do shit. That's why he lost. That's why he died. Like, He's one of the most featless characters in all of anime who gets hyped up to the high heavens, at least on Facebook, but not on Twitter. And I was happy to see that. So, at least as unbearable as the fandom could be on Twitter, at least they don't stand Shisui like they do on Facebook. Facebook's just not the place to be. Nate, wouldn't the court nobility be the equivalent to the royals of the Clover Kingdom and the emperor? We can go. So in that hierarchy, these are like people. Okay. No, I see what you're saying. Court nobility. Let's take a look at court nobility then, because these are usually like. So it's kind of like this in Naruto too, right? Where they have the Hokage, and then you have like the Anbu, Jonin, and all that stuff. But then the Hokage isn't the one actually making all of the decisions. It's really the daimyo that do that, and they're guarded. Or is it the daimyo? They're not. It's, oh my god, who were they? Anyway, they're guarded by ninja. So samurai is the lowest warrior class, and these people are more political political figures, if I'm not mistaken. But let's take a look. Let's get familiar with these classes. So okay, great. So we know what merchants are, artisans, peasants. We don't have to look at that. Maybe samurai. Let's start with samurai. Yeah. These are noble warrior class Japan and 5th on the Takugawa class hierarchy. Okay. Other classes were prohibited from possessing longswords such as tachi or katana, and carrying both longsword and short sword became the symbol of samurai class. Whoa. Carrying both the longsword and short sword became the symbol of the samurai class. However, their services were in limited demand as the Edo period was largely free from both external threats and internal threats. Instead, the samurai maintained their fighting skills more as an art form than to fight. Samurai were paid a stipend from their lord, limiting their ties to the economic base. In addition, samurai could not own land, which would have given them income independent from their duty. Samurai generally lived around their daimyo's castle, creating a thriving town or city environment around the middle of the domain. So, interesting. So we got to look back, because we did see some people. None of them had weapons, though. So I assume they are the merchants, peasants, and artisans here, which would make sense. But this building suggests to me that this is... where the court nobility and the daimyo and such would be. So what they just told us, these would have to be samurai. Now, they did also say that they were prohibited from carrying, from possessing long swords, like tachi or katana, and carrying both. Yeah, that's weird. So they don't have katana or tachi, but they would have a long and short sword. That just don't fall into that class. So that's really interesting. I didn't know that. So there were social stratifications within the samurai class. Upper level samurai had direct access to their daimyo and could hold his most trusted positions, with some achieving a level of wealth that allowed them to retain their own samurai vassals. Mid-level samurai held military and bureaucratic positions and had some interactions with their daimyo if needed. Low-level samurai could be paid as little as subsistence wage. That's terrible. And worked as guards, messengers, and clerks. And then positions within the samurai class were largely hereditary. Talented individuals could not rise above a few social steps beyond their birth. So, wow. That's actually how almost devils are, right? And the people in the Clover Kingdom as well. A lot of how you're born is played into what you will be. So it's very interesting. So now those were the classes. Now we're going to get to daimyo, which is below shogun. So the daimyo were samurai feudal lords, and 4th on the Takugawa class hierarchy. The daimyo were high-ranking members of the samurai and, similar to the shogun, held the most of the real political power in Japan. So yeah, I think they might have been daimyo in Naruto as well. The daimyo was responsible for administration through their large personal domains. The Han, which served as unofficial administrative divisions in tandem with the legal provinces. A daimyo was determined if a samurai's domain was assessed at 10,000 koku, or that's 50,000 bushels. Okay, interesting. Okay, so wait, koku is a measurement of what? Okay. Huh. That's a weird way to measure, like, their worth. That's really weird. Okay. The daimyo held significant autonomy, but the Tokugawa policy of the Sankin Kotai required them to alternate living in Edo and their domain every year. The daimyo were separated into the Shinpan, relatives of the Tokugawa, the Fudai daimyo, who filled the ranks of the Tokugawa administration, and the Tozama daimyo, those who only submitted to the Tokugawa after the battle. Okay, that's just history stuff. We don't really need that. Okay. Shogun. So the shogun was the de facto ruler of Japan and the third of the Tokugawa class hierarchy. Officially, the shogun was a title for a prominent military general of the samurai class appointed by the emperor, with the task of national administration. In reality, the shogun was a military dictator with only a nominal appointment from the emperor, who held the ultimate political power in Japan, controlling foreign policy, the military, and feudal patronage. The shogun was a hereditary position held by members of the Tokugawa clan, who were direct descendants of Tokugawa Ieyasu. The shogun was based in the Tokugawa capital city of Edo, Musashi province, located 370 kilometers east of Kyoto. Okay, great. Okay, so that's like a big yes and no. So let's look at court nobility. They don't really have much here. So court nobility, the kuge, were the civil aristocracy. Jeez, how do I read Japanese better than English? Aristocracy of Japan, and second on the Tokugawa class hierarchy. Similar to emperor, the kuge were incredibly prestigious and held significant influence in cultural fields. But okay. So Nate, you're right. So then this actually would be more of a Julius position then, than anything. Okay. That's interesting that they have these guys, and they're just pretty people. That's all they are. They're rich and pretty, and they sit there. Okay, all right, okay. So yeah, then he would be the second ruler essentially, but of course third in the hierarchy. And this is how devils work as well. So that's interesting. The Emperor of Japan was the official ruler of Japan at the very top of the Tokugawa class hierarchy. However, the emperor was only a de jure ruler. I don't know what that means, so let's look at that. So de jure describes practices that are legally recognized regardless of whether the practice exists in reality. Oh, so they can just make shit up. Functioning as the figurehead held up by, well, that's what King Clover does, up as the ultimate source of political sanction of the shogun's authority. The emperor and his imperial court, located in Kyoto, the official capital of Japan, were given virtually no political power, but their prestige was invincible. Interesting. So he is the Wizard King. He is. That is interesting. Because I always knew that these guys were above the shogun, and that these were more military, like rulers. But I didn't think that they actually ran things like that. So interesting. So he is the Wizard King. Because he functions just like Julius does, in this description at least. And this guy sounds like he really doesn't have anything to do. He's another, like one of these pretty people, the court nobility. But he's just like the prettiest person. So that is the hierarchy. There we go. So yeah. So this guy is the real deal. He is the higher up. Interesting. Ethnic minorities. Okay. Hamlet people. Village people. Okay. I don't think we'll need to worry about that. Yeah, no. These are the undertakers. No, we don't need them. We don't need them. Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. What is the role of women? Because we do have a woman here. A Japanese woman's life varied immensely according to her family's social status. Women in samurai families were expected to submit to their male heads of household, but as they aged, they could become the ranking household member of if their husband died. Children were enjoined to respect both of their parents, even as adults. Women from the lower classes were much less restricted by social expectations and could play an integral part in the family's business. Peasant women were expected to do household chores in the early morning before working in the fields with their male relatives, and regardless of age, were important working members of their family. Marriage was not based on romantic attraction. Families tried to use marriage as a way to increase their social standing, just like they do in the Four Kingdoms with the roller case family that we see with, what's her name, Finesse, or among wealthier groups to increase one's influence and holdings. Most often, however, marriage occurred between two families of equal status. Female virginity at marriage was important in the samurai classes. It was much less important to the lower classes. And after marriage, women were restricted from taking additional sexual partners. Males of the upper classes, however, were able to take concubines and have relations with unmarried women. Divorce was common, and a woman from a poor household could very easily leave her husband and return to her original family. Very interesting. It's funny, as women gain rank in society, they lost less. They lost more freedom. So that's interesting. Okay. So now we got a better read on this guy. So he's running things, really. Interesting. Muy interesante, as the ancient Sumerians would say. Okay, let's get back to your chats here. You love what movie? I don't know what movie you're talking about. Hostel? Wait, what? Oh, wait. Not really a okay. You were talking about what I was trying to answer you back. But you could look at it like that if you look from the left. Okay, wait. I'm confused by that last part now. Nate wonders if the Land of the Sun has ninjas. It would make sense. Would we be okay with ninjas happening in Black Clover? Like, would we really be okay? Because, like, if there are ninjas, we're never beating these Naruto clone accusations. Like, we just are not. That's what I'm trying to avoid. Would it make sense? Absolutely. Should it happen? Absolutely not. What is a ninja going to do against magic? I don't know, man. I don't know. But then again, let's put into perspective, though. Naruto was supposed to be a series about magic. So, there's that. But then there's also, like, ninjas in history. The whole allure behind them was that it was believed that they were magical in nature. Like, the smoke bombs. It was just because they were using technology that people hadn't seen before, right? Ninjas even use things like fireworks to scare off like hordes of enemies. So that would be an interesting take. Yeah, it would be kind of interesting. Because imagine going back and then like throwing a smoke bomb. And it's like, oh no, he's got Lotus's power. And then, I don't know, like a flashbang or something. Like, what? Now he's got light magic? What magic does he have? I don't know. But I don't know how I feel about it, man. I love ninjas. Like I said, I love Naruto. Like, I love that. If we're talking like real ninjas, it probably doesn't have a place in the story, right? Because like a real ninja would be someone like from Rurouni Kenshin. Like in the beginning, what was his name? Batosai? No. He was the guy with the striped shirt. He was like my favorite villain. Like that's a real ninja. Like not like he used the black and red sleeves. I'll show you guys because this guy was dope. Rurouni Kenshin, like ninja guy. We'll say that. So this guy. See, look. You type in like the most vague thing here. You kind of BS it. Boom, bam. So this guy here was like this. He was a ninja. He used his sleeves as an optical illusion. Okay, so what made it really difficult for people to fight him was that every time he threw a punch, it was hard to read because the illusion that the red and black made was that his arms were either extending really far or he wasn't extending fully all the time. So his range was a mystery. So his punches would usually always land. But I believe he was found out through his shadow, which doesn't tell any lies. So it was able to be parried and dodged and all that stuff. So it was actually a really cool part of Rurouni Kenshin. I remember watching that as a kid, thinking like, dude, I need a red and black shirt so I can, throw hands with anybody I want. They won't know where my punches are coming from. But he also did some other things in that series as well that led people to believe that he was just like a demon, really, but just magical. Andreas, do you think that the Land of the Sun will simply be a place of Asta to train, or will it be more significant? I think it could be more significant. So let's go back up. This is something I forgot to circle back around to. So remember, Asta asks where Liebe is, and he's like, "Oh, we're taking care of him. He's fine." I do not know the layout of this chapter at all. Nope, not there. Not there, not there. Where is he? Okay, right here. So he's like, "Oh, you mean that devil guy?" He's so nonchalant about it. Like, doesn't seem like he really cares that he's a devil. So it makes me wonder, or makes me think that they've encountered a devil before. And we have a character in this series who encountered a devil and told that devil that you're not bad because you're a devil. And it's making me think that it could be possible that whoever knocked up Lucida may have been from this country and not necessarily devil. But we got to see how this power system works, of course. Because look, Asta was able to withstand those worm things that Zagreus unleashed from the underworld. And he's got life force, too. That's something that, is undeniable. But he was impervious to it. So I'm wondering if it's a person from this country. Then, like, what if it is this guy? What if this is his dad? Like, I don't want to be like those people, but, like, what if this is his dad? And he somehow met Lucida. I don't know. That's so stupid to me. Because I'm still on the train that Asta has really birthed himself. But I'm starting to realize that all the stuff that we talked about as far as, like, the left-hand path of magic, the right-hand path of magic, and all those esoteric philosophies may not have anything to do with Asta, and might have everything to do with Lucius more than anything. So now Asta's taking on... so this is... Oh, God, what's it called? Shoot. It's... Oh, my gosh. I forgot the actual term for this. However, it's when all of these things come to a blend, but you go at it from a different lens, a different perspective. So Lucius has effectively descended through the underworld. That's the left-hand path of magic. And then he was able to purify that power, which seems to insinuate that he's also somehow ascended through the right-hand path of magic as well. So I don't think Asta will go through that. I think he's going to go through the Sword of Zen stuff, Circle of Enlightenment, or the Enso Circle stuff, and come into his own that way. And it all arrives at pretty much the same place. The part that's going to make this more interesting is what Liebe decides to do from here. So I have this headcanon I did want to share with you guys while we're on the topic of Lucida. I don't think Liebe is going to be coming back with Asta, which is why I did say at the end of that video last night that he won't have his anti-magic, and he probably won't have his all the swords that he had, but of course we just talked about that. He could potentially end up combining all of them, creating the final and ultimate sword, instead of having to switch all of them. But if we're getting all these mirrors of people, right, I wonder if we'll find a mirror of Lucida. And I wonder if she'll be much more the same. Like we find this guy he's kind of like Yami. He's just a bit more cheery. And he's, I don't know, what would you call it? Chalant? Because Yami's very nonchalant about everything. So imagine they find Lucida, and, I think it would be kind of cool if Liebe doesn't come back with him. and decides to live a life there. Because no matter what happens in the story of Black Clover, I don't think people will ever trust the devil. Um, it's just, have them living in a place where there's literally a giant demon skull. They were just almost decimated by one demon who was a product of the triad who have used devils for destruction, who unlocked the gates of hell and brought upon Lucifero. Like, I'm sure these people are done with devils. Even if they've done well and good, as they've been doing since the beginning. I just don't see it happening. But these people seem to have taken Liebe without a second thought. And if Liebe can be around people and another Lucida that looks at him like the Lucida that we knew did, then there may be no incentive for him to ever go back. And as far as we know, those devils exist in the Four Kingdom for sure. So he doesn't want to go back to hell either. So what is there for Liebe? I think it would be kind of cool, like getting a goodbye from the one thing that gave Asta power. On some level, I know we talked about it from a different perspective, but I think this would also be cool. And I also do want Liebe to learn the way of the sword while they're there, because if he does go back, I think it'd be much more effective to have two people there. One devil that knows how to wield swords, while the other one knows how to wield swords, but also tap into like the real power behind swords. So imagine anti-magic being completely separate, knowing how to use swords, but then having Asta know the actual way of the sword because he's met the soul of the sword that he has. That is a combination of all the swords that he's ever had. Also going at whoever their opponent will be in the very end. That would be a very epic duo to me. And of course, with Hino, he can survive in a fight with anti-magic. He existed right next to it while everything else, all the other magic was being erased in the Elfarg. So all those three, and even Noel too, could all prove to be a very, very formidable group of people to fight against. So I am kind of looking at it from that scope. But again, I think it would be cool. So, okay. Shelly, my brothers got into Berserk because of the game. Really? That's interesting. I keep saying it. I don't know when I'll do it, but I want to do a deep analysis of Berserk, like chapter by chapter. Like the literary beauty of it, and then the esoteric, the occult stuff. Because it's very true to text. As far as the esoteric stuff goes, like very true to it. So, and no one ever talks about that. They always talk about the Advent, and the whole Fallout, and that's really all it's, boosted up for, when it's so much more than that. Like, Muir really made a masterpiece, and people still don't know what it is. It's so crazy. Like, they know what Berserk is, but they don't know what it actually is. If the Land of the Sun has ninjas, it's a Naruto. Yeah, okay. No, Wano Act 4. One Piece is trash. So if it ends up copying One Piece, then we're just gonna do it better here. That's all that's happening. I think katana are more like wands than books. I'm hoping for talismans or scrolls. Well, I mean, grimoires are like wands in a sense. It's just a third party thing, a conduit for their power system. That's all it is. Like a wand is a third party conduit as well. Asta's gonna get help, but he will make his new sword himself. Like, okay. And then Nate, Asta's gonna need to learn some form of hand-to-hand combat because it's the third time this weakness has been exploited. Right, exactly. This is where he's gonna get it for sure. Kartik, do you think Ryoya has his own goals? If he does, I don't think they're malicious in any way, shape, or form. So, yeah, I don't know. We don't have enough to say either way. Or at least I don't have enough to say either way. But personally, no, I don't think he does have an ulterior motive that's evil. Um, we're a little too late in the series for another big villain here. What if they sharpen the Demon Slayer? It doesn't matter. I don't know. I think they could do much more than just sharpen those swords. 800 Year probably did some amount of rust or wear on the edge. I mean, yeah, that's what they said. But there are other times where it does cut. So that's one of the biggest inconsistencies in the beginning. Is that does it cut or does it not cut? 8-point star that lines up with the tree, right? It's not an 8-point star. It's a cross with stars in the coordinates. Yeah, that's what it is. Unless you're talking about something else. Nate, Asta's Devil Union is going to need condensing even further. Yep. The necklace drew out the human soul and held it together with elf unit. Wait, what? The necklace? What necklace? Unos drew out the human soul and held it together with elf Hino in one form. It drew out what they both desired, which was to be the one to rival Asta. He didn't know what he wanted himself. Okay. I feel like I get what you're saying there. Maybe I don't. Maybe try rephrasing it. I have no idea what you're trying to say there. Maybe I'm just too far from the original point to understand what you're saying. Shelly, I could see Asta's sword be like Mondo's from Xenoblade Chronicles. I have no idea what that is. I think it's a video game now, right? Foss Magic Stone did know what they wanted. Yeah, I don't know what you're saying, man. I'm sorry. Nate, random, but seriously, where the hell is Leo? Yeah, I don't know. I think that's an intentional plot point. It's a joke to most of the fandom, but I think it should be taken seriously. Something has probably actually happened with him. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it would have been though, but it would have to do with Lucius and Osteroth, I feel like. But it is interesting. He's just up and disappeared. You think out of everyone who would have been at that ceremony or at least talked about it, Leo would have been there, and he wasn't. So something's going on. Faust, what if this is the spirit of Yami's sword? Not too out. That'd be cool. But see, that's the other thing. Yami didn't come to this country with a sword. He just had a fishing rod. Right? As a kid. Yeah, this is the first time. This is when he's telling his story to Patri. He doesn't have a sword. Definitely easy to say that he knew of katanas, having been from Hino country, but as it stands, this is all he came with. But let's talk about, because that's something I put in the tweet too. Let's really quick talk about what Yami's katana power would be. So it's just a thought, but I'm thinking that, and this will kind of go back into the language thing too. Number one, I'm still trying to look for, maybe one of you guys can clear it up for me, that I don't remember if Yami told Julius his name or that was the name he was given. But I do remember explicitly that Julius was the one who taught him how to write and how to read, because the way Yami was writing and was not the way they do it in the Four Kingdoms. So now when we look at Yami's character profile, I just want to show you guys how it looks. So, where can I find... Oh, there we go. Oh, no, I need the Japanese one. This was also something me and WK talked about this week. Why language is so... Or the writing in particular is so important. Even the easily translated ones. Dude, damn it. Okay, so this isn't the exact character profile, of course, but this is how his name is spelled. So here we have Yami, new name, Sukehiro. So this is katakana. When you use katakana, this is due to the word being said having been foreign. Okay, so they use it for things like Santa Claus, McDonald's, Burger King, things like that, where they don't have like an original word for it. So they break it down into their syllables, and so you'll get like Santa Kurasu. Like that's how they would say Santa Claus. There's no like complicated, specifically Japanese name for that. But Yami means darkness in Japanese and actually has hiragana to go with that because it's rooted in Japan and it has kanji for it. So the fact that this is in katakana is telling me that yes, Yami's a foreigner, but this wouldn't necessarily. That's why I need to know because I don't think this is his actual name. And even if it is, it's not his title, right? And I'm wondering if Ryodo is if that's his title or actual name, because I'm thinking Yami would have been a shogun as well, and his power, I believe, is more of like a dimensional thing, right? So let's talk about dragons, and hopefully Rax isn't in here because we don't need that guy, right? Let's hope we don't actually get dragons because then we have to put up with Rax. You know what I mean? We don't need that. Nobody needs that. We don't need Rax here. But anyway, dragons, when it comes to, let's talk about esoteric dragons, okay? All dragons really, live in another dimension, on a higher level of being. I believe they say dragons are either the fourth or sixth dimension, one of those. And they are dimensional beings. Like, they have the power to absolutely destroy a dimension. Like, we're talking real dragons. We're not talking about Game of Thrones. We're not talking about Lord of the Rings. We're talking about real celestial dragons. So, with that said, what Yami can do with his magic and katana is cut through dimensions. And that is so devastating as a power to have. And I don't think it's just dark magic that would do that. You know what I mean? So, and he has explicitly said that the katana speeds up his magic, and really it enhances his magic, right? So, what I'm thinking is that he's combining what little he has of his katana abilities with his dark magic, thus giving us this dimension splitting technique that we get, with that specific technique at least. So that part is just really interesting to me. And the fact that he's able to make something like Black Moon and stuff like that, very, very special thing to do. So I really do wonder that this guy, someone said, I forgot who it was. It's one of you in here, I think, was saying like he's gonna have dragon magic, and I said no magic. There's not gonna be dragon magic, I don't think, but the power will be on par with that of one of those celestial dragons, where it is going to be absolutely devastating to like a piece of land, or maybe even more than that if they go all out. So like these guys are the human dragons, the shoguns. So very it can get very interesting. I'm curious as to where Tabata is going to bring it though. Also, we'll get a new sword called Excalibur, maybe. You think they'd find a medieval sword in Japan? It'd be interesting. Paladin Seke would be interesting. Yeah, would be. Yeah. I want him to be like on our side, and I want him to do something. That's my preference. But he would be an interesting paladin. He would be. What if Seke can bring Asta back through some bronze shenanigans? I don't see that happening. He hasn't shown any sign of doing that. That would be considered an ass pull if it happened. I would say that much. Like his bronze magic connects to the bronze, as in the stage of humanity world. But these guys wouldn't fall in the Bronze Age, though. Uh, let's see. They would fall in the heroic age. Should be that timeline. I can get mixed up, but yeah, I don't know. That's like saying like Nozel would be able to tap into like the Silver Age of people. I I don't know. I just don't see that. I'm sorry. Shelley, I could see Seke will redeem himself to sacrifice himself to save everyone and ends up becoming a messiah instead. You would want Seke to do all of that? Man, you guys are wild. Okay. Most mages can probably make or do a curse. You just have to commit yourself to the thought and it will manifest in the book, or you could just make your own spell, but most people probably don't realize. I would say no. Because, I mean, they could have definitely used curses in this. Um, like, what you're saying is not wrong. Like, yeah, anyone can make a new spell. Zora is living proof of that. Like, he doesn't need a special page in a grimoire to make a trap, but that would involve the usage of, like, runes, which Zora does use, so that he can give it instructions. And even Megicula uses like dark runes to do that. She, on record, said that she gives curses instructions. So they would need to know runes, which we already know that only the Heart Kingdom guys know, and the people that from the Clover that went there. So I don't think everyone can do that. And of course, like the Witch Queen can do that, but she's also old, so that probably did come with age. But there's also speculation that she's involved with a devil or devils. So there is also that. I don't. I mean, I feel like we're going two ways in the chat here. Like we're either like super hyping up this kid, or not doing like we're undermining him. I think there's a very fine median that he can meet where he can, like he doesn't have to be broken to be useful. Like he can do what he does, and stay within a reasonable power range, and not have this insane power creep, just to help out in the final saga. You know what I mean? Because I think Tabata's done a really good job about keeping things very reasonable. Within as far as like power goes and how realistic it is for characters, right? So like even Vanessa, when everyone's getting power ups and stuff, she was still very limited as to what she could do with her power. So yeah, and still Magna as well. He created a broken application of a spell that he concocted with Zora, but that even still has its limitations. So like he's been very, very, very reasonable about these power ups, and I don't know if he'd get like super strong, but I think he will at least become useful. Okay, Daimyo Magic Knight captains. I would say they would be maybe Magic Knight captains. They don't really have political say in anything, though. Daimyo are protected by samurai. So I'm tempted to say like either whatever's lower, royal or noble, I forgot. Probably nobles. Nobles would fit there better. But there could easily just not be a class for those types of people in the Four Kingdoms, and that's probably something that we should realize as well. So there is that. From what I know, there's 4 swords. Oh, I can't read any of your things, man. There's Force Sword, the self kill dagger. There's oh, okay. I had no idea what you're saying at first. What's that called? It's like a tanto sword. For Harikiri. The short sword, one handed, and the two handed katana. Okay. Seki will pull out. Okay. Apocrypha, I'm sorry. I'm just going to start skipping your comments. You're not seeing much of anything, dude. It's just like all over the place. Okay, you're responding to him. Okay, Nate, wait, so Asta basically met the Land of the Rising Sun's Wizard King. That's what. Yes, he did. I'm way behind, aren't I? Okay, I'm skipping. Oh boy. Johnny Tsunami. What's good, dude? Um, and then Nate, Ryuya, and the female samurai give off the vibe of Urahara and his short blonde. Yeah, they kind of do, actually. You're right. You are right. Shelley, well, according to Broku's theory, that Silva siblings could be half siblings to Noelle, and she has a different father, and her older siblings have a father who was married to Asier through political things. Okay. I guess, but I mean, it wouldn't make sense. Are you sure you're getting what he said right? Because look, genetics in Black Clover pretty simple. The Silva family all have water-based magic, and Nozel is the outlier. So, was he saying that Nozel is the half sibling, maybe? Because then that would make more sense than Noelle being the outlier here. But if it's the other way around, then yeah, no, you're saying that it's half siblings to Noelle, which I hard disagree with. I don't think Broku would have said that. Foss, you have 2 pounds. Okay, I think all of these go together. Oh boy. Okay. Um, I think through the story, you know. Oh. Okay. Sorry, I had to read that silently because every time I read your comments out loud, I get lost. So in your first part, you think that has been switching back and forth, right? So like this whole time, uh, the real him that with star magic was the like the passenger in the seat in that vessel, right? Um, which is something I've suggested, not the specific, but suggested with other characters. Okay. The Magic Stone brought out what they wanted, which was both their powers. The only reason could use the wind was because he always had the necklace on, which overlaid both souls from birth. Okay. Okay. And then, but way far off topic, so my point is moot now. But Yami showed up with a stick and some tool of knowledge. What? What tool of knowledge? I'm so lost, dude. I'm trying so hard. What tool of knowledge are you talking about, Faust? In that stick, I'm thinking you mean the fishing pole, right? Um, oh, explain it to me like I'm 3, man. Apparently, it's not my night right now. Nate, you're wondering how Noelle is going to prepare for the upcoming war. Her father is the one she got water magic from. Maybe go to him for training. Well, yeah, they've never mentioned their dad, so like that's also the other thing. So, someone had made like this post that showed that old panel of here. I bet even if we type in Noelle Silva's father, we're gonna see that panel. Noelle Silva father. So there it is right there. So like I'm almost positive this person was debunked and shown to be Nozel later on. Because when he had his flashback, he's walking away from what looks like an older Noel, but it's the same place. He's wearing almost the same things, and he's saying the same thing as well. So from there, I felt like it was, you know, that was Tabata telling us, like, hey, that's Nozel. Not like, I just don't think we've seen her dad, like, at all. Not even the silhouette. And I'm not saying she doesn't have a dad or he won't be relevant, but I just think this is so weird. Like, this part is just odd. But yeah, Noelle, I said in the last stream, I believe, she's gonna, I think she is closest to, like, the Norse pantheon than anyone else, originally. Now, I know Hino has 4 forms of, these wind gods, but that's his elf soul. It's not Yuno. So Noelle, by herself, having the Valkyrie thing, Sea Dragon's Roar, and all that stuff, is definitely more true to that side of the pantheon. So it would make sense. However, how she would meet her dad is the question, you know what I mean? And where this guy is and why he's not around. But I mean, we have talked about the possibility of maybe there being an actual Atlantis, and that could be something very cool. And if it is, he could be the king of Atlantis, but we would have to understand how Asier got there, why he left Atlantis and knocked up a woman and left and all that stuff. So there's still a lot of unanswered questions on that end. And I wish Tabata put a number on how many chapters this arc would be, because I'm very tempted to say that a lot of this just may not ever come, like, to us, because maybe we don't need it or something else. But I don't know. I really don't. But she will get her power up, faux show. And she's going to be strong as hell. Salik, I haven't seen you here in a minute, man. I think you misunderstood with his eye can do, in my opinion, with his power implies is either foresight or clairvoyance. I don't think I misinterpreted that. That's what he did. Did I say something else? Oh, you're talking to Foss? Oh, I don't know who you guys are talking to. I'm going to skip down here. Okay, Nate, do you think Asta will reach back in time for the Holy War? He was teleported before Lucius spoke about it. Maybe Ryuya doesn't even know because he stopped trying to see. I don't know. That's a good question. Yeah, I don't know. We just have to know exactly what's going on, right? Because we don't know if that's another dimension just across the pond, or across the pond in another time back in a different dimension. Like, it could be a multitude of things. It's really tough to say. But the fact that Lucius doesn't see Asta anymore tells me, and this is something we said in last stream as well, tells me that at least that if this is another dimension, this dimension obviously doesn't recognize magic. Given that Asta's grimoire does not have any leaves anymore at all. So if that's the case, the fact of the matter is that Lucius's foresight abilities, all of his abilities for that matter, are based in magic. So if his foresight is due to magic, he should only be able to see things that also have magic and use that power system. But if these guys don't use that, then he should not be able to see that. Now, the question next to that would be why Asta ended up here. And that's a different question entirely that is yet to be answered. I know people are saying, like, Lily probably cared enough about him to just send him somewhere else where he could still be alive. But I find that highly doubtful. You'll see why after I close out this live, because I'll put out the offline video about Sister Lily and Lucius and one other. Because we might have been looking at some things from a lens we shouldn't have looked them through. But yeah. Okay. Yeah, yeah. That was the whole theory with Gauch's eye too, Claymore. Um, yeah. All that stuff has been said, and I believe it was said by Broku or someone else at least. Shelley. I'm thinking Yami's friend could be Noelle's father. What? Yami's friend is Noelle's father now? No. We gotta stop this. We can't just say, hey, this is their father. You know what? They're fatherless. No one has a dad anymore, except for No one's allowed to have a dad. We can't do this. I'm not gonna do it. I don't care who anyone's dad is, man. I just want these people to succeed. Be fatherless and strong. It's possible. So let's see. The Charmy doll still bothers me, and it's interesting that when we see the real Charmy, she's not in her chibi form. Almost like Tabata wants us to keep on that. You mean in this chapter, Nate? What do you mean not in her chibi form? Like her dwarf form? She's in it. I mean, she's not in her like cute dwarf form. Is that what you're saying? Because she's not in her human form. But yeah, I mean that isn't that just like a literary thing? Like when she's being like absurdly stupid and like lusting for food, she just turns into that. Because yeah, that's still not human form. Or am I getting it wrong? Okay. Foss, knowledge that could aid him when the time comes, much like a grandma. And he should. Is there another comment attached to that? Where did the grandma come from? Showed up as an example. What grandma? I don't know what you're talking about, Foss. Yeah, so Nate, I guess what you're saying is like, yeah, that's that Charmy, that's all about food. Like how she is when she's discovering new food. Like she turns into this like super short thing. Like how she was with Julius in the Royal Night exam or whatever. Tournament, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. I yeah. I don't know. It's funny, you kind of pick up on some of the things I don't like ever pay mind to, really. Um, yeah, we don't know much about Charmy. You are right about that. Um, I feel so stupid for saying it now because I did say it like last chapter or last arc as well, and like for pretty much the entire time I've been doing YouTube, that Charmy's gonna have her moment. She's gonna have her moment, and it just never comes. So I I I'm confident when I say she will get her moment finally with her wolf, but you know, it's just odd that it hasn't been shown up earlier or brought up at all. But timing is everything, and Tabata's really good about timing and not revealing certain things at certain points in the series. So, that's a thing that this fandom has also just had a very tough time, like dealing with, myself included. Is that Tabata is an expert with timing. Like, we've known about Hino Country for how long? Since almost the beginning of the series, right? Since the cave fight with Yami and Patri. So it's just now coming up. There's been no other real mention of it. So, and I feel like this was the perfect timing for it, because there was something much more important with this country happening. So, and it's probably going to tie in super well, and we'll see that the writing was on the walls the whole time, as we usually do. But yeah, it's probably more so a timing thing, and this could be Charmy's time. Who knows? Okay, I think Asta's dad Wait, I'm confused. Didn't you just say that this guy... No, last stream you said this guy was Asta's dad, but now Astaroth is Asta's dad. Has sent him in Liebe there to keep him safe from Lucius. Interesting. Uh, Johnny, you feel like a chapter left with more questions? Yeah, absolutely. That's what Tabata does. He'll answer questions, but those questions that he answers, it's like cutting off the head of a Hydra. You're just gonna get like more heads every single time you do it. So, and this is like one of the only series where I was like, where I cannot wait until it ends, because then we'll have all the answers. But I also, of course, don't want it to end. So it's like this is a weird thing. But that's how you know you have a good story. Like, you want to know what everything is, what's going on. So that's kind of cool. It's fine, Foster, dude. It's late for me, and it's been a long week and a long day, and I still have exams to crank out and homework. So it's probably also me just not, being fully there. So, like, I'm glad you're at least participating here and like talking with me. But I'm honestly probably just not all there right now. You missed the rest of the bulls. They do look awesome. You know who's got the dopest look to me? I think Gauch looks super dope. I hate Gauch too, by the way, but his attire looks so cool. He looks like a count. That looks so cool to me, especially with the robe. He's the only one I feel like with the full robe that looks the best. Like, he's got a full cape. He looks like a count. So cool. So cool. Tabata did make it a point to have Julius ask Yami if Charmy was his daughter. Right. Maybe she's from Hino country. Yeah. Could be. But yeah, I've noticed that too. It was just an interesting thing for him to say. And we talked about that on a live, and I've made a video about that. Relating Julius to like Odin, where he's got the wolf, and with Yami being like his right hand man or left hand man, whatever you want to call it, whatever he produces would also be close to Julius as well. So something might have happened there if that was his daughter, but of course Charmy is not his daughter. Nate, you think the theory of Astaroth being Asta's dad is done now? I hope so. I'm done with any. This guy is Asta's dad. Like, screw it. Gordon is Asta's dad. I don't care anymore. At this point, maybe this will be the only fumble that, in my opinion, that Tabata will make, is when and if he releases Asta's father. Like, I'm literally going to look at it and not give one shit. Like, I don't care. It just wouldn't hold much weight. Like, even if it is Astaroth, someone that important, I wouldn't really fuck with it, to be honest. Unless it's like Lucifer and I'm wrong about Liebe being Lucifer, or the both of them being Lucifer, then that would be cool. But other than that, anyone else, I don't give one crap at all. I'm his dad. Thank you, Vogel. I'm his dad. Series is done. Foss, whoops, grandma. I used speech to text and thought Grimoire would be okay. Apparently, only if it's with another word. Doesn't like. Okay. Booth, I wonder how powerful the undying bodies are. So, the next video is going to talk about the undying bodies, Lucius's plan, and exactly why we looked at 6 characters the entirely wrong way this entire time. And it kind of makes sense, too. Believe it or not, some of my theories tend not to make sense. And this one has some cool stuff to it. So I think what I'm going to do is... here. I'm not going to look at my notifications, number one. But number two, I just wanted to make sure we hit all the points here that I said I wanted to hit. Okay, more depth into the last video about Asta's final sword. You'll have one final sword, combination of all, or maybe just an entirely new one made for him in this country. But he will no longer have those swords or anti-magic, in my opinion. And on some final Getsuga sort of stuff. And then the translation issues we did cover. We're going to have to look at that. And if more people are talking in this informal way using this outdated kanji, then we can probably softly confirm that these guys are misplaced in time, at least compared to the Four Kingdoms. And then Yami's Honi country ability and how katanas work. We did go over that. Yami's Honi country ability having to do with like dimensions, and maybe just cutting through them. But infusing that with dark magic has allowed him to amp that ability probably. But yeah, the katanas, like I was saying earlier, they probably all go through this sort of Zen practice where they probably will meet the spirit of that sword and get its full power, just like they do in Bleach. I don't think it'll be any different from that, essentially. So, Nate, you need a video on this wisdom that Lucius said the paladins have. What wisdom? What wisdom did he say they had? Was that last chapter? Because I don't remember him saying that. Shelley, Nate, I like that theory better than Asta's being the reincarnation of Astaroth theory. But isn't it already said he's not a reincarnation? I don't know. There's some theories that we can definitely throw out altogether. I would rather to see Asta and Liebe are being Astaroth's sons. That base. Oh, I don't know about that. Metatron has nothing to do with Astaroth. I'd need one or the other, and that's it. And Sandalphone has nothing to do with Astaroth either. So they're either his sons or they're something else. And at this point, I don't think it actually matters. I'm just honestly waiting for Nate to tell me what wisdom the paladins have. He says they obtain semi-immortality, and I don't remember that at all. What page was that, Nate? Was that, or what chapter? Was it the last one or a different one? Let me look at 336 really quick. So Lucius in his throne, he doesn't talk there. He talks about the tens of thousands of futures that he foresees. The key to it is the singularity, blah, 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 the child of the elder, whatever. For the sake of world peace, will crush him. So he doesn't really talk in that chapter. So 335, maybe? Let me see if you've answered yet. Okay, so I'm on 335 right now. Lucius, it says, quit bluffing. You've done enough. Okay, nothing about paladins. So okay, wait. Okay, to incarnate and purify a devil. Okay, great. Soul magic. I've taken a total control of the underworld's remaining supreme devils and the devils of all other levels. Humans who use devils become new, higher life forms. They gain wisdom. Oh, okay, that's the part you're talking about. So humans who use devils become new, higher life forms. They gain wisdom and nearly immortal bodies. So we did talk about that already. So that just falls in line with what Astaroth does in like Goetic, in the Goetia and the Grand Grimoire or the Red Grimoire, the Book of the Red Dragon, excuse me. Astaroth knows of past, present, and future. So the wisdom they gain, and since they decided to contract with Astaroth there, that knowledge is just what he does. This is what I'm assuming. And then on top of that, with him having soul magic, being able to also potentially, I'm going to stick with potentially for right now, manipulate the mind. The knowledge that he probably has control of what they do and do not know. So that's as far as I took it, at least. You find it weird that he's scared of bugs, Johnny? And his rival is a Lotus dude? I don't think they're not rivals. They had a run-in and Yami bodied him. But wait, Lotus doesn't use bugs. Zora does, though. Are you getting them mixed up? I don't know what that correction was for. Did you get one of those words wrong? Trying to keep up here. All right. Both paladins are higher life forms. I wonder what that... I mean, they're literally just stronger and obviously wiser. So that's probably all he means by that. Charmy is this new guy's kid who got lost looking for delicious knobs. Asta is either Mana's kid, his own kid, or Life Force's kid. Interesting. So does he show them the future he saw and enlighten them to his dream of the world? So yeah, essentially that's what I think he may be doing. But I would say come back to this channel in about an hour. Because I'll talk more about what he did and the characters that we are potentially misinterpreting. But it's just an observation, so it's going to be interesting, though. It'll be interesting. Okay, Shelly. I think that would be cool. I can picture the Demon Slayer being a fire sword demon dweller. I don't know who you're talking to. I haven't mentioned anything. Anyway, I think I'm going to head out so I can record this video and put it out for you guys. And I will catch you guys on Twitter. This was an interesting talk today. And I'll probably be back live Sunday. We'll see how the day goes. But yeah, I'll catch you guys in a different stream. Feel free to hit me up with questions, but I do have to remind you guys, I do not look at my inbox unless I'm talking to specifically Broku, WK, maybe like a couple of other people. So if you send me messages, I know I see them sitting in there. It gives me extreme anxiety, so I choose not to open them. So don't count on me, answering you right away. You're better off commenting here or on Twitter. So, like, on a public thread. But make sure you're not one of those people that, say something irrelevant on a thread, though. Because that is annoying. Really annoying. But anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. I will see you guys probably in the hour. I'm going to premiere it, so I'll watch it live with you guys so I can answer whatever questions you got. I'll see you in about an hour. But I'm going to go record this. Do I have a ridiculous amount of magic or none? I've got no magic. I've got no sleep as well. So I'm I'm running on fumes, guys. I'm running on fumes. But I did want to check in with you guys today. But thank you for tuning in. You guys know it's been Jack Goes to Go. You either know or you don't. Good night.